Good evening, friends, family, mom, dad. Surprise, I'm making a speech. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to be more nervous than I already am. My name's Natasha and I'm honored to be one out of 13 graduating students from Langston University School of Nursing. Thank you everyone for coming tonight to continue to support and celebrate us in accomplishing a huge milestone. We've worked so hard these past 2 years. They say April showers bring May flowers, and in this case, the last 2 years have blossomed us into brand new healthcare professionals. Congratulations, everybody. The number one reason Langston is an amazing school to go to is because of its diversity. The nursing profession is always fighting for diversity because, as we've learned, it benefits everyone when there are healthcare professionals from different backgrounds caring for patients of different backgrounds. Another reason we're grateful for Langston is the clinical sites. We have been so lucky to be able to experience all major hospitals in Tulsa and then some. And not all nursing schools are like that. Sometimes you just get one hospital and that's it. So why nursing? The famous and first nurse, Florence Nightingale, was a woman with a mission and a vision. She selflessly provided care for others. What an honor it would be to be appointed by the Victorian government to care for wounded soldiers during the Crimean War in Turkey, which is exactly what she did. When asked about her acceptance of this appointment, Nightingale responded, "I did not think of going to give myself a position, but rather for the sake of common humanity." This quote perfectly describes why we chose this profession. Of course, we're all excited to have the credentials BSN, registered nurse, behind our names, but it is so much more than that. The feeling we get after a hard day's work caring for patients is indescribable. It is one of the best feelings of accomplishment. Just knowing you're waking up every day to make a positive impact in somebody's life is so fulfilling. Most of our early morning lectures would begin with something like, "Wow, y'all are so quiet." Our graduating class is notorious for being the quietest class, but it's because we have our ears open and we are eager to learn. In the classroom, we learned that nursing classes differ from other degrees when preparing for exams. And although an answer may be correct, we learned that it is not always the most correct. Another thing we learned in the classroom is something we didn't know much about before, which is application. For example, we were taught different lab levels, and we might have been asked which is the most crucial lab level to report. Langston has given us the gift of knowledge to apply what we've learned from class and studying for hundreds of hours, and that's just the best thing because we will be able to apply that in the hospitals. While Ms. Hershak helped me revise my speech, she reminded me of how much we've learned when she told me that anyone that hasn't attended nursing school or isn't in the medical field wouldn't have a clue what I'm talking about when I describe our first day of clinicals as seeing people as diaphoretic, incontinent, hypertensive, tachycardic, febrile, and emetic. What I'm trying to describe is how we saw people the first day of clinicals. What we now know is that these terms mean sweaty with diarrhea, high blood pressure, fast heart rate, high temperature, and nausea. Were these patients with Crohn's disease? No. It was us as students. For the first time in clinicals, nervous as ever. When starting clinicals, we saw firsthand what chronic and acute diseases could do to people. We saw what extreme fluid buildup looks like, how extensive open wounds can be, and how to clean up some dirty messes. We also unexpectedly became expert bed makers. After we survived our first round of clinicals, we went on to obstetrics, field of new life and babies. On one side of the hospital, someone may be saying goodbye to their mother for the last time. On the other, someone is becoming a mother for the first time. I never once saw a nurse on the labor and delivery unit in a bad mood, but maybe it was because I was grinning from ear to ear with all those cute babies around. Community clinicals opened our eyes to places such as Lighthouse and Happy Hands. These facilities are dedicated to improving the lives of children that have learning disabilities, such as autism, or if they are deaf or blind. It's heartwarming to know these kids are looked after by nurses who are angels. And speaking of angels, we saw at Clare House that nurses know how to treat a family and a patient up to and after time of death. For our final rounds of clinicals, we were in critical departments like the emergency room and ICU. How would one describe an intensive care unit besides intense? There are people that just came out of major surgeries, who barely survived car accidents, who overdosed, the list goes on. Many of these patients are on machines working for their lungs, their kidneys, or liver, or their hearts. Every unit is unique to their own specialty. I am proud to say that I have accepted a position at one out of the only 2 burn intensive care units in Oklahoma. It's an amazing feeling knowing that you belong somewhere and then when you find the unit that speaks to you the most. And congratulations to the new grads, because everyone that has applied for jobs has gotten offers, which is awesome. This usually isn't the case in other fields. A couple of other students have accepted positions in ICUs as well, along with cardiac units, respiratory, neonatal care, and float pool, which is a little bit of everything. We are in for a lifetime of learning and gaining even more knowledge to help those who need it. We have the opportunity to go anywhere. Before nursing school, we were told to warn our families, our significant others, and our friends that we wouldn't have time to be with them much throughout school. We were told to quit our jobs. This was an adjustment for everybody involved. We want to thank each and every one of you that supported us, who were there for us when we doubted ourselves, and who had the patience when we had to miss special events or just quality time. We're so grateful for you for sticking by us through hard times. And thank you to our amazing professors who have prepared us for a wonderful new world. We now know that there was a method to your madness, and we're all going to be great nurses because of you. We also have another favor to ask, and that is to support us even further during our first year of nursing. With our nursing licenses, we will be completely liable for safe patient care, and according to a study by Johns Hopkins University School of Nursing, the first year of being a professional registered nurse is the most difficult, and there is a high turnover rate. Also, bear with us until our NCLEX. We promise this will be our last written exam. We found out who some of our biggest supporters were in the last 2 years, and that is who we used to call classmates. Now we call each other family. We've gone through some experiences that no one else would understand. We've gained lifelong friendships during, which is priceless. Some would think that when a bunch of females are together for an extended period of time, chaos ensues. Not in this group, though. We have all showed one another what true sisterhood is. Along with Logan. You did a great job putting up with all of this. Seriously though, life is unpredictable, which can be amazing or not so great. But we have been there for each other for every occasion, and I love you guys. I'm going to wrap this up by sharing the top 2 pieces of advice I've received from well-seasoned nurses. First, from a nurse who spent 40 years in critical care. She said, take your time off. Work your 312s, then go home, travel, spend time with your family, or play some cards. Because we all know nurses love to play cards. Give your brain a chance to rest and absorb the copious amounts of information during your time in and out of orientation. Second piece of advice was from an ICU nurse who was an emergency responder before his care in trauma. He said, always use a healthy amount of fear. There's a quote I love by George R.R. Martin, and it is, the only time a man can be brave is when he is afraid. We're all extremely brave to work in this field, and I have found that a healthy amount of anxiety can help drive you if you don't let it set you back. So, while this first year of nursing will be intimidating and scary at times, don't forget why we chose this profession. Be brave. Always ask questions. We have been blessed with a career of lifelong learning, and we should take advantage of it by always being curious. Remember, we've come this far, and we are ready. We're ready for boards, and we're ready to be nurses. To the spring class of 2019, give yourself a round of applause.
Next, we have a special treat. We have another senior student who the class actually has requested to see